Right, good evening everybody and welcome to this webinar. Thank you for sharing and spending your time with us this evening at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday evening. I'm based down here in Wimbledon at the moment, southwest London, and it's a cold, chilly evening, but all very nice. My name's Arun, and in the room next to me I've got my little dog called Teddy, who might bark and shout and want attention, so bear with me if she comes alive. Unfortunately, my colleague Chris, who's actually the main speaker tonight, is actually become quite unwell this evening. So I'm going to lead this webinar tonight. Suffice to say, I probably don't know as much as him, but my grey hair and my experience will hopefully be enough to get the message across and inform you of all the relevant stuff that you need to know tonight. Chris has been with us about 3 years now, and he's our kind of digital marketing manager in the team. And sadly, he's been unwell, so I wish him well. And he was quite gutted that he wanted to get involved. But hopefully, we're going to start doing some digital marketing webinars on a quite a regular basis. So he'll be for sure on the next one. So you will see him around at some point. In a wider context, wider information. I'm going to discuss tonight the kind of Google update that's forthcoming in May. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get my slides up and hopefully we can crack on. Okay. Okay, so yes, I'm Arun, and for those of you that don't know me, we've got a good size audience tonight from all dotted around the country and beyond. And I'm the CEO of Samera. We're an advisory firm dealing with accountancy, finance, practice sales, and now we're actually doing digital marketing websites, that type of arena as well, managed by Chris and Alex and others in the team. But more about that later. So let's just take a step back. Before we talk about the actual Google update, I'm just going to talk about what happened in 2020. We all know what happened. COVID happened, and sadly we're still in the throes of that, but things are changing. But it proved and it showed how important online presence was, okay, in so many sectors. Not just in the dental sector, which I'll come to in a minute, but across so many sectors, how important online. And we know things like Amazon and all these other companies just did amazingly well, done amazingly well, and they're just growing like these huge monsters. But if we look at the dental sector as well, it's interesting to see what the trends were. So I'm going to just take a step back actually out of these slides, okay? I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at Google Trends. I can remember how to share the screen again. Sorry, bear with me. So hopefully you can see this Google Trend graph. Now, what this is telling, Google Trends is a tool that Google provides. Now, Google provide so many tools, so many great tools. And this is showing the search term emergency dentist that's been used since 2004 to present, to now, okay? And what we can see here is that search term, the use of it has grown. Obviously, it's been growing as a natural consequence of more and more people using Google, more and more people searching for Google, searching for such search terms. Okay, bear with me, that's Teddy. But what we can see here, these are the peaks at the end of each year, okay, around the December-January period, okay, we have these peaks. Why? Mainly because of people searching for an emergency dentist during those holiday seasons, during when maybe practices may be closed. And we can see it again there, kind of towards the end of the year. That's kind of December there, it peaks. Then we can see it here. It peaks again in December 17, 18, 19. But most interestingly, now this is where it peaked at the highest. Okay, it peaked at the highest in March, April last year. Now, why has that happened? Because pretty much likely to be because of how the lockdown occurred. And suddenly, all dental practices were closed across the country, and people who were in pain were searching for that term emergency dentist. Now, why am I getting this across? Well, I'm just talking from our own experiences, knowing our own practices that we have, dental practices that we saw um, an a considerable uptick in volume of people searching and calling up the practices even when we were closed. Okay, all the calls were diverted to one place and answered and dealt with. Obviously, we couldn't see those patients, but triaging, uh, tooth repair kits, filling repair kits were given out or sold, and that type of thing. But what it highlighted to us was that the need to have an online presence was strong, but also we had optimized and built our website at that time to be strong for the terms emergency dentists and the areas that we were kind of trying to focus on across the southwest West London area. And that emanated in tons and tons of traffic coming to our website, and it grew. Now, how did we get all that traffic? Well, it was primarily because we were using the knowledge from and experience of Google, what we from previous times, and those things that we'd done was to write blogs about emergency dentistry, write interesting, useful articles on emergency dentistry, write tons of stuff. But at the same time, we were also issuing and writing content current at the time on what to do during COVID for an emergency if you've got a pain in your mouth or pain in your teeth. So there's content going out all the time, regularly by our team, okay, by our content team. So why am I trying to get this across? Well, I suppose the point I'm trying to get across here is that Google was the funnel for so much traffic to come through to the website, and it has been our primary source of traffic for our website for the last 15, 20 years. And I can see it probably it's going to continue like that going forward. Obviously, there are other traffic sources such as social and things like that, but Google is our primary source of traffic. And that's why I'm very much keen to get the message across that you need to be strong on Google if you're going to really kind of dominate the online space going forward. I hope that makes sense. So, and why I've shown that to you. So let me move on back to the slides. I'm going to keep this relatively short, this webinar tonight, because my voice is going. Chris was supposed to give all the details, but I'll try my best. So up until now, the word SEO, a search engine optimization for the kind of to expand what the words are, has been the driver to try and get customers or patients or visitors to your website. Now, obviously, you can use pay-per-click advertising and get above the organic listings, but by far, SEO is the most cost-effective way of doing it if you do your SEO right. Now, up until now, Google's been updating and giving updates many times over the last few years, quite often unannounced. They just do an update and people's rankings go all over the place. But historically, these are the things that Google have always been kind of citing that they want websites to be. They want to make sure they've got backlinks. So, for instance, if you're a dental practice, if you've got a backlink from a local kind of business, for example, we have a practice in Wandsworth, so we want to have a backlink from the local Chamber of Commerce in Wandsworth. That gives our website authority, saying that it's a dentist and it's in Wandsworth. That's a quality link. In terms of keywords, we've managed and built or created blog posts that have relevant keywords for what we're talking about, such as emergency dentists, as I mentioned earlier. Google's updates or requirements was that you'd always have local SEO. So the Google My Business side of things, you've always got that correct and updated. The Google's historically have said we want to have a fast website. It needs to be fast. The pictures need to load quickly. It also needs to be mobile friendly. So if you haven't got a mobile friendly website, Google ranks you lower. And then also at the same time, it has a brand. It has people see it not just online, but they see it offline. They see, and there's something called, I think, Google Brands as well on online as well. You can test, like I just showed you, Google Trends. So there's been a period of changes year after year that Google does, and as I said, usually they're unannounced. But this time, it's been announced that they've been talking about it for a while actually. So why are they changing it? So I think the key thing that Google wants to, sorry Teddy, let me talk. The key thing is why Google's changing it now is that they're always updating their algorithms anyway, okay? But they really want to stop marketers playing the system. So what we saw, hold on, I think Teddy wants to get involved in the talk, so bear with me, okay? Let's say hello, Teddy, to everybody out there. Or maybe not. Okay, she wants to get out of the room. Bear with me. So they want to stop marketers playing the system. So what we saw over the last few years, let's say, for example, on backlinks, backlink factories emerged where people would basically send backlinks to your website. You could pay for that, and hopefully that would have a positive impact. Obviously, Google is smart enough, and they can pick up these issues that know that people are playing the system. So what they're saying now is they want the person using the website, people, whether on their phone or whether on their computer, they want that experience to take and be the highest priority. Now, this gives an opportunity to lesser known brands, smaller businesses to really kind of usurp some of the big boys out there if you play by Google's rules and if you do what they say. Okay, so mobile traffic has now overtaken desktop traffic, and this is really all about mobile going forward. Yes, people use their desktops, but it's all about the phone, okay? All about the phone and all about people trying to find you on the phone easily and quickly, and they want that experience to really take priority. So what is this? It's called the Page Experience Algorithm Update, and I'll just read what they say, okay? The Page Experience, let me get this right. So the Page Experience signal measures aspects of how users perceive the experience of interacting with the web page. So interacting with it, optimizing for these factors makes the web more delightful for users across all web browsers and surfaces and helps sites evolve towards user expectations on mobile. Hence the word mobile. We believe this will contribute to business success on the web as users grow more engaged and can transact with less friction. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but what they're ultimately saying is we want to make the experience better for users, predominantly on mobile, across all browsers and all surfaces, and therefore you're going to have to play by our rules, and this is how we're going to do it. So how are they going to do this? Let's have a look. So if you look at, we'll come to the top 3 things in a minute, which are called core web vitals, but the bottom 4 are the things that if you haven't got a website, if you have got a website already, this is what you should be doing, have in place already. This is what Google has said historically. So firstly, it needs to be mobile friendly. Obviously, it needs to be, if the website appears on a phone, it's friendly, it works, it looks good, and it's functional, and it works. Number 2, it's safe browsing. So safe browsing ultimately means it's not prone to phishing attacks, which can happen on various websites. So that needs to be considered. So that's important. So no phishing. HTTPS is something that still a lot of websites you see out there don't have this, and it's basically a secure website. So security is out there. So you have to have in the URL HTTPS as opposed to HTTP. So that's an important thing. It's very easy to do these days. And the 4th one, a bit of a mouthful, no intrusive interstitials, okay? And what this means is you cannot, they don't encourage pop-ups. That's the key thing. So if you've got a website at the moment, it's mobile friendly, it's safe, it's not prone to phishing attacks, it's secure using HTTPS, and it doesn't have no intrusive interstitials, that's a positive in Google's books, okay? And that's great, okay? But obviously, I'm not going to talk about content today, but the point here is that this is a given. Those 4 are a given. You need to be ensuring that your website has got these basic things in place, okay? Then obviously you're going to create content for your website. Now, this then comes into this three area, and these three areas, the thing in green at the top, all relates to this new algorithm update of Google, and they call it Core Web Vitals, and it's got three areas. One is called loading, one is called interactivity, and one is called visual stability. Okay, and I'm going to just move on here to this here. So what are these three things? So the first one is called loading, in brackets, largest contentful paint. Okay, in essence, this means how long it takes a page to load from a user's point of view. In other words, the time from clicking a link to seeing the majority of the content load on the page. So that's that time frame. You need to make sure you've built a page that takes this into account. Number two is interactivity. How long does it take for a user to interact with the website, like clicking a link, filling in a form, opening accordion text? And then the third bit is visual stability. How stable the elements on the page are. Do links and buttons move around if you scroll around the page? How stable is it? Now you might be thinking, what are all these 3 points? Well, they've made it quite easy for people to ascertain, are they doing it right, or are they not? Is their website going to comply or not? So I'm going to move you on. So what we have to do, this is a key link here, and this is the thing I'm going to ask you to do. So perhaps I'm going to just click onto this. Let me get back to my site. I'm just putting this link into the chat. Now, what you should do is go and click that link. Okay, it's a safe link, and it takes you to a developer page. Okay, and you can do this in your own time afterwards or not, or you can do it now. And what it does, let me get back to my slides. You put your URL in, and it comes up with a score. Okay, now I'll show you. This is a bit of an older slide actually, but I'll show you the output of ours. I did it for the neem tree just earlier today. It's somewhere here, bear with me. So this is the page that you go to and you enter your URL here. And I did one a little bit earlier somewhere. And it comes up with a score, okay? So you can get a score of 0 to 49, 50 to 89, 90 to 100, okay? And you've got two bits here, mobile and desktop. So in an ideal world, you want to be, now in an ideal world, you want to be in the green, 90 to 100. Now, you might be thinking, well, wow, this score's high, and it is high, okay? Primarily because I've got a team that can deal with this and do this for us, and with developers and stuff. So, and then you can start seeing here, this is the kind of points they're showing here. First contentful paint was 2.6 seconds, largest contentful paint, 2.6, first input delay was 17 milliseconds, all of this data, but ultimately you got to ball back to, is it in the yellow, is it in the red, or is it in the green? Okay, and I'm a simple guy, and I'd like to see green. That's kind of my objective when I tell people. Now, what they also say here at the bottom, if you scroll down, they talk about opportunities, things you need to do. Remove unused CSS, remove unused JavaScript, eliminate render blocking, sort resources. Now, you might not be able to do that, okay? But if you've got a good developer in your team, they should be doing this for you. You need to be making sure that your site is taking into account these comments and suggestions there. Now, it's not as easy as you think, okay? Because if you remove certain things, the website might not look as nice, or the design might not be looking nice, or the website might have to be designed in a different way. So there's lots of things that have to be considered in making changes. But the whole point I'm trying to get across here is make sure that you go to this website and stick your own website URL on it and see what score you get, okay? You might be pleasantly surprised, or you might be thinking, oh my God, we're really low. We're not ready for this Google update. If that's the case, changes need to be made. All right, so let's move on to the slides again. Find them. So that's the one of the things you should do to check your site. Now, What are the things, some of the things you need to do? Some of the things include, just picture of mine's in the way. You need to reduce 400 errors, any errors that have 400 against them, broken links. One of the big things is to reduce or compress image size. Because remember, when you're loading up an image on a website, it can take time. So it needs to be compressed. Reduce large elements, reduce and minimize CSS and JavaScript. This site's built on WordPress, so there are various plugins that can help. So a plugin such as Lazy Loader, what that does is it loads the image slowly, okay, and not in full, okay. So that may not it might not make the website look so crisp, but at the same time, it's speed, okay. And I think one of the things that people do get wrong quite often is the hosting that they use. Getting the wrong hosting can make the website slower. So it's important you have the right hosting for your sites as well. Now, this is all quite technical. I appreciate that, but I'm just trying to highlight these points to you because you need to be asking these questions of any competent, strong web development team that you have. Not web designer, web development. So this is the point I'm trying to get across here. You need to have a web designer that's working with a web developer. Those are the two key things. And the sad thing that I've seen in my kind of last 15, 20 years in business is that there are lots of web designers and they can make it look nice, but that's quite easy, really, okay? But you need to make it look nice and go at speed, and that's when you need a developer. So you need a developer and a designer, okay? In addition, you remember you could stick that link into that URL, onto that developers page of Google. Also you can check out your competitors and check out their website. You can check their speed and their loading times, okay? Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, that's great. Okay, I can see if they're doing any good, but you don't have to be quick. You just need to be quicker than them ultimately, as Chris has said here. And if they're quicker than you need to think, okay, what's so good about their website? What will audience be liking about their website? And so what I suppose one of the key things is to think, how can I improve my score? And this may mean completely changing your website, might be completely building a new website from scratch, or it might be just tweaking a few things here and there on your site, okay? We've mentioned here something called Ahrefs, okay? Again, that's another SEO tool that we use. And we find websites with low domain scores and few links, and we want to see what their user experience is. Now, I personally think what's going to happen in May is that most people with websites haven't really realized the impact of what's going to happen with Google. And overnight, there's going to be real fluctuations of the organic listings of people, of their websites, okay? And there'll be some winners and there'll be some losers. But if you follow the guide and the information that I just showed you here, if you're working to this developer's guidelines here, basically, you're going to be a much better place than some sites that don't. And that's the key message of today, is really make sure that you're on top of this, because May's only just around the corner. And before you know it, if you were reliant on Google traffic to your website, it could, I'm not saying it will, but it could mean that your traffic drops significantly, especially if your competitor in your local area has optimized for their needs. Okay. One of the other things you need to think about, and again, this goes back to user experience. This is what it's called, the user experience update, for a reason. Okay. You can use various plugins, and one plugin suggested here is called Crazy Egg if you're using, again, a WordPress CMS website. And it basically creates a heat map. So you basically install this software on the website, and it will record where people are going to on your site. And you can see where the red bits are, for instance. That's a popular place where people are visiting or clicking on. And you might be thinking that they should be clicking on courses, but no one's really clicking on that at all. It's going back to the logo here, or they're clicking on something here, okay? So this will show where users are clicking on, what they're zooming on, and ultimately what they're scrolling on your website. Now, the way Crazy Egg works is that you set it up and it will record over a week or 2 weeks the actions, and then it will kind of give a heat map report like this and explain what they think they're doing. And quite often, one of the things we've written here, are they clicking things that aren't links, or are they not clicking where you want to? So in this instance here, you've got people clicking this, probably just going back to the home page. And here, people are thinking this is a link here, but it doesn't really take them to anything. So maybe you have to change that whole design to make sure that they click on a relevant action. And so this then tells you, helps you guide you, your development teams. I think, okay, we need to have clearer call to actions that says book now, or learn more, or whatever, very clearly on this page. For instance, you might have learn more here, and that take them to the courses here. Simple things like that make a fundamental difference to the traffic, the conversions, and the success of a website. Okay, so in addition, I suppose, and this is kind of what I've just said here, think about the accessibility. So make sure the font and the background colors, are they easily viewable by the visually impaired? That's another thing that Google are looking at. So I think if you have yellow and white together, and that's a mistake we made last year on a website, it wasn't so easy to read, okay? But when we changed it to black and yellow, suddenly it was accessibility. Google liked it, and the SEO rankings went up. Do your CTAs, call to action, stand out, like those buttons? Are they book now or learn more? Are they clear? Are they very visible for someone to say, I want to do this? If they're not, Google will mark you down. You've got to add alt text to your images if they need. That means basically, what is that image about? Put the text in that box. Another example, data. Is it in rough form or is it in a table? So again, how is the information presented? How is it easy for the user? Okay, not for you. How is it easy for the user to understand, interpret, and look at the details? Now, Google, all of this takes time, effort, but the whole point is, if you're doing this stuff, Google have given you the insight. They're telling you here, this is what you've got to do. You've got to meet this score. Okay, if you can build the website around this type of scoring, it will certainly increase your numbers, and ultimately increase the kind of benefit to your SEO, and then also increase the what's the word, the opportunity for you to rank higher. Excuse me. God, I've been talking for half an hour. It's gone quickly. So think about accessibility. So key actions. What can you do? Okay, I'm coming up to my end, so I know it's a Wednesday evening. First thing, if you haven't, go to this link. Okay, check your site out. Check the speed. If it's a low number, you don't be shocked. Just kind of think, okay, there's work to be done. Speed is ultimately going to be the most important one of these things. Speed, speed, speed. When you're on a mobile phone, when you see something that takes forever, you'll kind of switch off and say, forget about it. However, if it's fast, Google likes that. It'll optimize your page. It'll rank you higher. You need to make sure your pages are visually stable. Check your competition out. Use the heat map, as I mentioned, and make sure your website is accessible, as I said, under accessibility. Now, I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm going to just talk about, literally, we've got our coming up in April the 10th, okay? This is the team, okay? We've got Chris here in the middle. We've got George, who's our video guy, Nikita, Sarah, Alex, Matt, Zordi, others who aren't even on this slide. We've got a big digital marketing team, which we've built over the last, two and a half years, which have helped not only our own business internally, okay, Samera, Dentistry, etc., but now we're at the stage where we've done it, we know what we're doing, we're now helping clients out there. Now, the reason I've done this is because I've learned from experience using other agencies myself before we had this team, and seeing kind of, well, they didn't really understand the problems that I've faced and my business faced, and they didn't really solve those problems. So I thought, you know what, I can build this myself. I have enough experience and knowledge of what I want and how I want to do it. I just need to build a team around me. So my team are considerably younger than me. Okay, they're in their 20s and 30s, but all very capable and smart in their kind of in their expertise. And that's kind of what you need today. You need smart developers, smart marketing, smart social media, smart video people. It kind of comes natural to these guys. So this event is Digital Marketing for Dentists. It's a webinar, 6 hours long on the 10th. We'll cover obviously the basics of how to create a high conversion website. We'll go into more detail of SEO. We'll talk about content. Content is key. This is the key thing. And whether it's blogs or videos or podcasts, we'll be talking about social media platforms, which ones to be using. We'll be talking about pay-per-click, like Google ads, Facebook ads, and then of course, remarketing. Now, again, it's on sameradental.com is the link, and we have a webinar code, coupon code. You can get £50 off and the code is webinar 17032, 170321, i.e. today. So webinar 170321, and you can get £50 booked off. Okay, I'll send that in a minute to you. Let's get that out. Hold on. Let's get that out. Hold on, where's my share screen? Okay, so that's that. And then, sorry, the technology never likes to work with me. So that's the event. And then following that, just to highlight to those out there who may be in the market for digital services, we are, as I mentioned, doing now services for clients, websites, digital marketing, and we kind of bundle it together because we've got the whole team, and that's working quite effectively as well. And I'll click on this link. It'll let me do that again, and I can share this screen. Have a look at that link later, and what we can do here, hopefully you can see it. So this summarizes the services that we provide. We only take on maybe maximum one client a month, okay? Why? Because we want to do it right. It takes time. Doing digital marketing is not easy, okay? It takes time, it takes patience, but if you do it right, you can really get a lot of customers, a lot of patients through your door. You can go in your own time and look at this link, okay? I won't dwell on that. And then finally, back to the slides. So that's the digital marketing, that's the event. If you need any help, obviously Chris ideally is the person to reach out to. His email address is there. Alternatively, you can get in touch with me. I'll put you in touch with Chris or Nikita or Alex. There's so many people in the team now, which is great. Okay, that's what I'm really proud of. We've got a team that know what they're doing. That's an exciting thing and development side for the digital marketing side of things. So if you need any help, we're here to help. And then lastly, if you haven't seen us all about already, okay, I just want to kind of promote our podcast, okay? Again, this has been really well received. It's just been going about 5 weeks and we've had literally thousands of downloads of it. So we're updating the podcast maybe 2 or 3 times a week with different podcasts, different team members talking, whether it's myself, Chris, Nigel, Alex, Nikita, Smita, you name it. And what we're trying to do is share our knowledge and experience out there to people. And it's free to download. You can get on Apple, Spotify, all of these usual platforms, and I hope that helps. So that's the podcast, that's the webinar for tonight. I've kept it short and brief, but if you need any help, get in touch. If you're interested in attending the event on the 10th of April, please do use that webinar code. I hope that's been useful, and reach out and give us a shout if you have any questions. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.